Jacquelyn Umoff, otherwise known as Action Jacquelyn on Instagram and YouTube, is a fitness influencer. She got her start on Instagram and grew her following to a little over 500,000 followers. But she had this block around starting a YouTube channel and diving into YouTube, which she talks about in this interview. She got over that block and she now has a little over 130,000 YouTube subscribers. And Jacquelyn Umoff is also my little sister. And she's somebody that I've been trying to start a YouTube channel for years. She shares a lot of insight over, despite having a big sister that worked on YouTube day in and day out, she still had some reservations about starting a YouTube channel and why ultimately she decided to do one. I think you're going to get a lot of insight from this interview. Obviously, Jacquelyn being my sister, we had a lot of fun doing this, very open, honest conversation. And let me know in the comments below what you think about it. And my name is Erika Vieira. I'm a YouTube strategist and coach, having helped hundreds of women like Jacquelyn behind the scenes grow on YouTube through my Zero to Influence YouTube Bootcamp, my one-on-one YouTube coaching, and my strategic channel management. And on this channel, I interview well-known female content creators where together we pull back the curtain to reveal what it's really like to be successful on YouTube. So if that sounds like your jam, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because I come out with new interviews every single week. Enjoy this interview with Jacquelyn. Mwah. Well, hello, Jacquelyn. Welcome to the podcast.
I'm super excited to be here.
I know.
Finally.
I'm so excited to have you. I know it's been years. Some of you guys may or may not know Jacquelyn's my sister. And I told her, I was like, well, we'll have you on the podcast after you hit 100K. Right?
Yeah.
and you commit
too, just like the rest.
Yeah, and you commit to your YouTube channel. So excited to have you and to chat with you about your YouTube and your YouTube success. And before we dive into all that, why don't you get started with sharing with everybody why you got onto YouTube or what inspired you to start a YouTube channel?
Because you told me to.
Yeah, that helps.
But it was a big thing because you were saying like, look at how amazing it is. Look at this. Look what you can do with it. And I was like, I was so focused on Instagram and, you know, and you were just like, look at, and I was like, yeah, you're right. And I just kind of had like a block around it because there's just so much that goes into it, the video, the editing. And there's kind of just like a lot of things to figure out. Whereas Instagram, it was like, I could just do a quick video on my phone and post it and, you know, so I felt like I had that platform down and YouTube just felt a little bit bigger and scarier. But yeah, like to have that, like you kept showing me like these channels. I was like, oh, I should. And then finally, yeah, I did get on it. Once I got on it, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, I realized the power of it. So I'm glad you did push me to get on it.
Yeah, you know, and I think your story isn't unique in that a lot of people, even if they have platforms elsewhere, like a blog or an Instagram, they do find YouTube intimidating, even though it's kind of like, you know, like you shouldn't be intimidated. You know, you're already an influencer. And so for those of you listening and watching, Jacquelyn was already a full-time, you know, Instagrammer, influencer, whatever you want to call it, for several years before you started your YouTube channel. So you're already in that world, but like you said, you had a block around YouTube. And I find that a lot of people do. You know, there's this kind of this overwhelming thing of like, oh my God, YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I know that I was already doing it and I was already doing stories and everything else, but it still felt really big because I knew I had to do, like there was a lot more mistakes that would happen, you know, like I tried to film myself and then the sound was bad and then the picture was bad. Like there was just so many things that went wrong so many times that I just had to keep pushing through it and just keep thinking like, what else am I going to do? Like you know, this is what I want to do. I know once I figure it out, it'll get easier. So I just kept telling myself, just like with everything else, just even with working out, the more you work out, the easier it gets. Mm-hmm. And so I just kept telling myself that. And now, yeah, it's so much more seamless. It flows. Like I have, you know, videographers, editors that I work with. Like we have a system down. It did take time to get that going for sure, and a lot of just dedication. But then once that did start going, it's so much easier, and then the reward is just huge. Yeah. Huge, you know?
Yeah, it's, you know, you could get a lot out of having a YouTube presence, and that's what I was always telling you. You have a huge Instagram presence, but you're missing out on this whole YouTube world. At the time when you started your YouTube channel or you're thinking about it, I was like, hey, Jacquelyn, I'm going to be starting this boot camp. Why don't you just join in like everybody else and go through the boot camp. And that was back in 2018. That was the first boot camp. You were one of the original boot campers. And so at the time, you know, why did you decide to jump into the boot camp? Was it timing, or was it your older sister telling you, do the boot camp?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you were telling me to do it. But then also I'm like, well, this is silly for me to not take advantage of this. And I saw you work with some of your clients that you like blew up their channels. And I'm like, okay, like she obviously has some method that, you know, that I want to learn from. And I just figured, you know, I would try to like ask you, but you were like, you know, so busy that I'm like, okay, I'll just go through the program. And then I'll be able to, because I like to have all the resources in front of me anyways. You know, it's nice to have the videos and to go through it at my own pace and everything. And you have a whole proven system. And I already know about you personally that like you have a knack for branding. Like I know you have a knack for like being able to pull out people's specific talents. Like you can see that in a person and you can pull it out and really help to create their niche. So I saw you do that with all the boot campers. You know, you would say like, this is what's really special about you. And this is what I think that you can really hone in on the channel, on your channel specifically, and really like take advantage of that. So I knew that, I mean, I know that about you anyways, and I know that you're really smart with like talking and being able to get points across. And so I just wanted all of that feedback from you anyways. And then being a part of the group, the boot camp was awesome because then I got to be with other creators too, where they would talk about, you know, what they're doing, what cameras they're using, like different tips and techniques and all the different, you know, little stuff that there's just so much that goes into a video. And so it was nice to be able to like bounce off ideas off of so many people and like, and also know that like you're not the only one like struggling on like, how do I focus my camera? You know, you're like, okay, like everyone is struggling with just little things that I'm like, how is the sound not coming through? Or like, which is the best mic? Or like, how is this not happening right? You know, so just having that kind of support group and knowing that you're not alone and that like they're going through it too. And to see other people's success is also motivating.
Yeah. It's you know, it's a great community of women when you're in there. You're with other women YouTube creators, and we have that Facebook group where everybody jumps in, and you're active in there. You're asking a lot of questions like, "Hey guys," and
it saves time. It's like, why not just save yourself? It's a shortcut. So it's like I knew that if I did it, it's going to save me tons of time and probably more money because it does cost money to produce videos. So at the end, it's going to save me so much more time and money. So why not just like give myself that, you know, that head start by going through the boot camp? Yeah.
And time is money. It's kind of like, oh, even if you're not paying for somebody to edit or produce the videos, you're still spending a lot of time on it. Whereas the time maybe could be spent, you know, moving you forward in a faster direction. So what was the biggest breakthrough that you had when going through the boot camp?
I think just the support of the group, like knowing that having these sort of setbacks are normal. I think a lot of times people can misinterpret setbacks as like, oh, maybe this isn't meant for me, or maybe I'm just like not good enough, or maybe I'm, you know, a failure, all these things that you think about like when you have a setback. But just knowing that like, okay, these setbacks and failures are part of the process and this is completely normal, and you just try it again and you try another video. Like I remember someone kept saying like, you're just one video away from like your channel exploding, or
you're one video away from going viral.
Yeah, you're one video away from going viral. And at the end of the day, it's a free marketing tool, no matter what. Like even if it's 100 people or 100,000 people, like it is still a free marketing tool that you can get your message out there and also hone your craft. Like if you can keep practicing. And so like every time I did a video, I felt like I did get better and better. And I would study, like you told me, you know, study other channels. You need to like be looking at them, like really study, spending time on that. So then it kind of gave me permission too, because I would feel like, oh, I shouldn't spend like all this time wasted like looking at other people's channels. And you would say, no, you need to spend that time. And so I'm like, okay, so I will. So then I started working out with other people, like just on YouTube, just like learning what they're doing. And so it felt like, okay, that was part of like my homework. And it felt like, okay, and it does help a lot. So I did study a lot of channels. But yeah, I think that's the biggest breakthrough, is that just to keep going.
Yeah, the support.
Then the failure is part of the process, and it's not, doesn't mean that I'm not good enough for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. What helped you most inside of the boot camp?
I mean, I loved your coaching calls, and I still go to your coaching calls.
Yeah.
And so getting your individualized support, even though you're my sister, like when we're not like outside of it, we don't talk about it,
No.
you know? So like you make me fill out the form.
Yep.
You make me still show up on coaching calls, because I would try texting you and then you're like, go to the call.
Yeah, I'll be like, do a call. Hey, I'm spending the hour and a half, 2 hours answering questions. Like other people are asking these questions. And it's not just that. It's not just like, I don't want to answer your question right now. It's like, I just know the value that's in the calls of like, just go to a call and like dedicate that time. I know. I'm like, there's a call on Thursday. Just go to a call.
I know. I'm like,
I'm strict.
Rolling my eyes, but it was helpful to be at the call because it kept me accountable too, to show up professionally in that sense, and also, you know, be in front of the group and really like have my questions really prepared and stuff. So it did help me to like stay accountable as well. But yeah, I mean, on one of the calls, even you helped me decide on the name of my challenge. Remember the ballet body?
Oh, ballet body. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that ballet body ended up completely helped to blow up my channel, where then that's when I was starting to get 1,000 subs a day after that challenge.
Well, your original name was not as good. I was like, I don't even think you asked me. I was like, is that the final name? I was like, I don't like it.
Well, and it was helpful because then everyone else on the group gave their opinion too on what their experience of bar workouts are. So that was interesting to hear, because they were like, well, do I need equipment? You know, and then I got to hear in real time of like what they were thinking when I presented that challenge name for my YouTube challenge. So that was actually really helpful to just hear their thought process, especially since they're like my target audience. They're like women who, they're not athletes, they're not fitness experts. Like I wanted that. So that was really helpful. And that gave me, because I got like, you know, a little bit, I guess I was just focusing on other things and not my YouTube. And that was like the challenge that I was like, okay, I need to really get back in and focus on YouTube again. And then that was the challenge that really like catapulted everything on YouTube and helped me cross that 100,000 mark and grow really quickly. I mean, I was getting, 1,000 subs a day. So, and you helped me form the name Ballet Body because you said it needs to be results driven. So that was an amazing call. And like every time I'm on a coaching call, I get something out of it, and I get either re-inspired, or I just pick up a tip, or I get direct feedback from you, which is amazing, on my thumbnails, everything, like tags, description, like we went over that, what to put in my descriptions. So I'm just completely like guided and supported. You know, I don't have to spend all this time figuring it out or messing up. And so I love the coaching calls. Yeah,
the calls, we have two a month, and they're group calls, and you submit a question ahead of time, and I will review the channel or review the videos, and then we use that 90 minutes to dial in and answer all the questions. When your channel started to take off, what did that look like for you?
I mean, it was amazing, because I felt like, okay, yes, I know that this is going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. You know, it's like kind of like reaffirming everything. And, but yeah, I was getting 1,000 subs a day. People were signing up for the challenge. And then once people go through the challenge, they started to download my app, you know, so it was more revenue everywhere, not only on the channel itself, but then on other places like programs and everything. And people were just organically finding me, just when they searched bar. So it was great to just also connect with them. Like they really got to see, as opposed to Instagram, like they got a real feel for me and my style of teaching. Like I'm talking with them, they're working out with me.
Well, you were doing lives. Were those lives the challenges?
So the lives that I did were like right when COVID hit, and that was really, really good when I just started going live every day. And I was like, hey guys, like just come work out with me. Gyms are closed. And that was great too. That was like, I think at that point I was getting like 500 subs a day there. And then I got burnt out because I was literally going live every day for like a month, and I was like so exhausted, and I was like, okay, I need to like calm down a bit. And then I started focusing on the app, like off YouTube. And then that's when I was off YouTube for a little bit. And then I got back on and did that challenge this summer. And that's when I crossed the 100,000 mark. But yeah, when I was doing the lives, I remember I grew a lot, like, I don't know, like 30,000 or something like that. I grew a lot. And then this challenge, now this challenge, we turned it into an evergreen funnel too. So people are still signing up for the challenge on YouTube. And then it's taking them through a whole email sequence and then taking them into the app as well. So they're just like getting into my ecosystem. So it's like a whole process that they get into. But yeah.
And so that's driving traffic on YouTube. And then that's going into your funnel.
Yeah. So I've done a few of those now, and then I'm just releasing another one. And so they work really well. It's a 5-day challenge. They get completely acclimated to my teaching style. They get to really see how my classes are different. It's free. And also, like, you kept telling me to do like the leg warmers and to really like the ballet stuff. So everything ballet. So you kept saying that. And I know you've been saying that for like a long time. Yeah. And just making sure that like I had a certain look. And so that was helpful feedback from you too, to say like, you should have this look, use the ballet photos. Like, and you said, show your legs. That's why they're watching you. And just like hearing that, I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. So you kind of helped me like really just have a better perspective. Cause I think people who are like experts in their field are almost like, they get too caught up in their thing.
They don't realize what's special about them.
Yeah, they don't realize what's special about them, or they think that they need to give like a ton, like I need to give them like a 60-day leg program. Like, no, you just need, just get them into it. Like they're there to work out. So just that those little reminders and stuff really help you to just, move forward and not get stuck in those kinds of ways.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and when you mentioned earlier, like I'm able to pick out from people like what they're good at. A lot of people tend to forget what makes them really special because they're surrounded by so many people in that world, right? And for you, everyone's done ballet or everybody's, done the yoga, whatever. And I was like, no.
It's true because all my friends are dancers and fitness people. So I'm like, this isn't special.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know that many people on YouTube that have had 15 plus years of actual ballet experience of dancing in real ballet companies, and plus your cheer experience of being in the NBA cheer and all these other things. And that's why I was like, why don't you focus in on the dance?
Because I think you're more than just like, SEO tags. Like you really, that's why I said you're kind of more almost like a brand, like talent manager too, in a way where you can really say like, this is your talent. Like, let's like go in on this as big as we can, and like, how do we even make more? Cause you would have ideas. I'm like, well, okay, so that's one video. And you're like, well, then you can do this video and then you can do this kind of video and then this kind of video and this video. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess there are like a lot of ways to like talk about this, and you're like, do a calf video or do this video or do that challenge, do this kind. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a lot of things, Well,
like that calf video went really viral. Remember that one that we worked on one of the calls?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and you said, well, you need to show your calf. It needs to be a different photo. And I'm like, okay. And you kept pushing me, and I'm like, oh, I just want to be done with it. And you're like, no, it needs another photo. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then it was, and then it did really well. Yeah. And you're like, make another one. I'm like, oh, okay.
Another calf video, calf workout. So, but I don't just talk to Jacquelyn like this. I mean, everybody that goes to the boot camp, I'm like, no, do this. Don't do this. Change this thumbnail. Because at the end of the day, I want what you want. I'm here to help facilitate like your goal. And people tell me my goal is to get to 100K. Okay, let's do A, B, and C. But for those of you listening who are wondering, Jacquelyn's workouts are really good. Like they're some of the best workouts because they're hard. I find out so many online workouts are like not hard or challenging. Yours are hard. Like I actually get sore from them. So, and I love like the ballet and the dancing, so it's good. But just a little shout out to your stuff. Did anything? So you said your channel started to take off. After everything was shut down, you're going online. You grew like 30,000 subscribers, and then you said you kind of took a break. You came back, but with that success, seeing that success, did anything in your mind change about YouTube?
Yeah, that's when I started to ramp it up because then I was like, oh look, it's going. You're like, good. Now you need to upload twice a week. So I was uploading once a week. And then I was like, oh, okay.
I shouldn't have told her.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, but it's nice to like have someone to keep you accountable and push you. Like, I was a dancer. Like I'm used to having someone kind of always coach me and push me along. And I believe that that helps you be your best because it's hard to always push yourself on your own. It's really hard. So then I started uploading twice a week. And then that did push me where I started to just get really organized. And I was like, okay, I need to have filming dates. I remember I listened to actually one of your episodes was really good. That was like the 5 things to create consistent content or something like that.
Like one of my videos. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I listened to it like on your podcast and you said something like, you know, like you need to have a schedule. You need to sit down, you need to look at your calendar and you need to say, okay, if I'm going to be filming, if I'm going to be uploading 8 videos a month and I'm going to, you know, which day am I going to film it and how long is this going to take, and like working backwards and like that kind of stuff. It's like sounds so obvious, but like I wasn't doing it though, you know? And that's what's funny is like a lot of times we know about these things, but then we actually think, okay, but am I actually doing it? And it's like, no, I'm not doing this. So I did start to sit down and I would say, okay, how many filming days do I need to do this? And I would actually plan it out in the calendar. And then I would, you know, text my videographer, okay, when can we film? I have this many. And then when is the next one? And then the next one. So I really started to get organized as far as my videos and when I'm going to film them. And I was able to keep my video editing down, like costs down. Because I think a lot of people like go crazy as far as like costs and they try to make it like these like extravagant videos. I've talked to other people where they're spending like $500 per video, $1,000 per video on like a fitness video that's like 10 minutes. And I'm like, no, this is like simple. Like, let's just start with one camera. Like, I know that it's I really believe in my workouts though. So I know that like once people's in the workout, they're going to see it and see the value of it. So I knew at least I just needed clear sound and I would save money by going to the beach. That's initially why I started doing it. And then people were like, you know, from all over the world being like, oh my gosh, that must be amazing to be in LA and have those beaches. And I was like, oh yeah, not everyone gets to see the beach every day like I do, you know, but for me, it was free. So I was like, I'll go there on a Tuesday. No one's at the beach on a Tuesday. And I basically have the beach to myself. But then I ran into like sound issues.
Yes. I remember you were asking a bunch of sound questions in the Facebook group. Yeah.
So that I finally did just end up investing in a really nice microphone for that and just did the research and found like a good outdoor one. And then it didn't matter which videographer I used, which I found out was a good thing because then I had my own equipment because lots of times you're paying like a lot just to like have them bring their equipment. And I'm like, I don't need like a professional film, like documentary type film person. Like I would go to like the college students and I would say, hey, I have all the equipment. I just basically need someone to like man the camera. Just make sure that my sound is going and, you know, and maybe on a second camera you can kind of move around, but just make sure that the camera's on and the sound is on. You know, that's basically what I need.
So, that's interesting. That's it. You know, those beach workouts, it's so funny because I work out with them with my daughters, and the only ones they let me play are the ones with you at the beach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those are their favorite. I don't know why, but they said, we want to do the beach workouts. So.
Oh, that's funny.
I know.
Yeah, but people love them. People, because they're like, oh, I love being able to like see the ocean, you know.
Well, it's unique, like you mentioned, and not every fitness creator on YouTube has easy access to the beach, to be able to just go to a beach and film. And for you, it almost seemed like a cheat because you're like, well, I don't even have to get a studio. I literally walk down the street. I'm going to do it at the beach. Okay. But for somebody else, that might be a huge endeavor that it just doesn't make sense for them, both time and money and all that to do that. But for you, it is something that is unique and special. And it's almost kind of part of your brand now, I feel like. Yeah, now how people are watching YouTube on TV, I mean, it's like blown up and then it looks beautiful because then it's like blue and there's, you know, and then it's interesting because there's like people walking by a little bit in the background and people always love commenting like, oh my gosh, the jogger was so funny. Yeah. I mean, we would watch those, you know, and whenever I do a workout online, I always do it on the big screen. So for you especially, I think that probably happens more than maybe some other niches too. So what's the biggest piece of advice that you would give to somebody who wants to be successful on YouTube?
I would say join your bootcamp because it's a shortcut. Like you're going to have support. You're going to run into issues. And if you are serious about YouTube and you don't want to get derailed, then join the bootcamp. Like you're going to make the money back. Because the only reason why people don't want to join something because they don't believe that they're going to, you know, make that investment back. but you're going to make it back because you're going to help them succeed. It's like a no-brainer.
What would you tell somebody who's on the fence? Maybe they've been thinking about joining the bootcamp. Maybe this is the first time they're hearing about it and they're like, oh, I don't know. Should I invest? Should I not? What would you tell somebody that's on the fence of considering joining?
I would say 100% invest, because if you're on the fence, that means there's a part of you that really wants this. And what I always like to say is an investment is the first step to the transformation. That investment can be the transformation itself, and the commitment to yourself, the commitment to your goals. Like, we all need to be held accountable in some sort of way, because, change is always a little bit scary. And so to make yourself stay accountable, you invest, and then you're in it, you're committed, and you're going to meet a lot of other people, and you're going to get to where you want to go that much faster.
Yeah, well, I love that. Well, thank you. Now we're going to go into the second part of the interview where I ask you the same questions that I ask everybody that's come on the show. If you were to start over with your YouTube channel, what, if anything, would you do differently?
I would just go all in the very beginning.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that.
Not just tiptoe and do a video here and there. Because it's kind of like, if you keep going, you will succeed. It's you will. And that's what I realized, and I wish I would have just been more committed in the beginning. What
is your favorite video that you've uploaded onto your channel?
I mean, the ones that go viral. I'm like, yeah, that was a good video. Huh?
That's an honest answer. And which of those videos were that for you?
It's always the ballet ones, like you said, and it's exactly as you called it. It's the ballet ones, the calf one, that one that I was wearing leg warmers, any of the really ballet ones.
Mm-hmm. What do you love most about being on YouTube?
I love that I get to do what I love doing, but I get to teach around the world. I think that was the biggest draw to me, because I was teaching in studios forever, and I would see the same 10 women, every day. And I'm like, I know there's more people in the world than these, even though they were lovely, these same 10 people in a small little boutique studio. And I'm like, I know I can reach and help so many more people. I love it when people say hugs from France, or I'm working out with you in Germany, or it's cool. Amazing. That is so cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That's a good point. It's you had your core people that would come to your classes. I used to go to your classes when you used to teach here at Equinox, or even at LMU at the university. But now you can teach to thousands.
Millions.
Yeah, think big, huh? What are the big mistakes that you see aspiring YouTube creators making?
Just stopping, letting the mistakes stop them. I think a lot of people say, oh, I don't think it was meant for me, or just letting, just all the little things that come up, let them stop them. Or looking at the competition too much and thinking oh, it's already been done, or, why me? Why should I join? But I did a lot of work around that on myself, just knowing that I still bring something unique, even though there are other bar instructors online. But I know what, just constantly valuing myself and what I do, and believing in myself. So just not letting that stop you, the competition stop you, or all the little techie stuff stop you.
Any video that you're particularly excited about, but it didn't do well?
Yeah, I mean, every now and then that happens. I just did... Yeah, I did a butt lift, banded workout with a booty band.
Ooh, I love those.
Yeah, I thought everyone would too. And I was I'm oh, this is good. The thumbnail's good. I loved the workout itself. And then it just I thought it would have been a bigger one. And then it just been kind of, maybe it'll take off later. That's another thing too that's happened. Videos have taken off way later. So now I just look at every video as its own investment, which is nice, which is so different than Instagram, because Instagram, your posts are just there and gone. So that's what I love about YouTube as well. But yeah, I just thought it would have done better, and I still have hope for it though.
Yeah. Good. What is the biggest opportunity you got as a result of your YouTube channel?
I think the most interesting one was when that's the whole reason why I went to Hong Kong, was Hong Kong, the yoga. It was actually a yoga conference, and I thought, oh, they wanted to, have me go on as a yogi. And they were like, no, we love your bar workouts on YouTube. We want you to come and teach bar in Hong Kong. And I'm like, really?
Why were you surprised at that?
Because I think at that time, I was so well known as yoga on my Instagram. And that's where I thought, yeah, because I was doing so much yoga for like aloe and like all these different things. It was all
But
yoga.
I was the one to tell you to do bar for YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that.
You were. Yeah, and so they're like, oh no, we love this. Like, we love the leg warmers. Like, can you come and teach bar? So I was like, wow, that's like really cool, you know? And then there's just been a lot of other teaching opportunities like that for bar specifically, because people like, that's initially how I got on Aloe Moves too, was from I first did the bar program with them. So, yeah. So it's been a lot.
So I was right from the start that you should have focused on bar and not yoga.
You're right. Right.
So, you know, sometimes your family members are the hardest ones to coach or teach. So, I mean, Jacquelyn's, you know, you've been good though. You've been a good student. You come onto the calls, you submit your questions, but it's been a while in the making. So
it has been, yeah. Yeah, I do wish I would have listened to you sooner. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, you're doing it now, so better late than never. What is your superpower that you think has led to your success?
I think I just keep going. I think I just do it. Like when I say that I'm going to do something, I do it. And so I knew, like, once I said it, when you said, okay, do 2 videos a week, I was like, okay, like I'll do it. You know, once I figure, why go halfway on something? Like there's nothing, I really thought about like what other career would I ever want to do? Like there's nothing else that I would want to do. Like this is what I feel like I'm meant to do. And so I was like, okay, even though it feels hard, just do it. You know, I just always have that mantra of like, let's just keep going, keep going, keep going. So yeah, I think just being able to pull myself out of those moments and just keep going, I think is a good super. That's why, I mean, I'm Action Jacquelyn. I take action.
Yeah, it's true. Why do you think people enjoy watching your videos?
Well, it's interesting. I hear the same thing over and over again. So it's not just something that I think, but this is what people say. They say I'm so positive and I seem so genuine and real, and that they like that they feel like I'm like really working out with them and like I get tired with them. I hear the same thing from every single person. It's like this, it's crazy. It's like, you're so positive, so genuine. And I love that you like, you know, are huffing and puffing alongside me too, but you're also still so strong. And like, you actually help me change my body. So,
you know, I didn't think about that, but you do that. When you're doing the workouts, you're like, oh, okay, like that was hard. And you're like sitting there doing it. I have noticed that with some online workouts, like sometimes they're like robots. Yeah, they're like not doing the workout, or just like, or they're like these like fitness robots. You're like, oh my God, how are you not tired by now?
Well, because I think a lot of them actually take breaks. Like they actually pause the video. Because I've thought about that. I'm like, yeah, I could totally just pause this and come back, like, you know, take a water break. But I'm like,
oh yeah, and with the magic of editing, that's true. I never thought about that. That seems so simple, right?
Yeah, but then I'm like, but I want to feel what they're feeling, because that's how I like to teach. Because I'm like, okay, I know I'm feeling it a lot on this, like in this muscle, so it's time, let's work on this muscle now, like let's balance it out. Like that's kind of how I actually prefer teaching, is so that I can actually feel my way through it too with you. So that's why sometimes I write out a whole workout, but then I'll actually kind of like change it as I'm doing it, because I'm like, oh, I think this would feel better. So that's just how I feel like I teach the best.
That's interesting.
But, yeah.
And last question, what is your number one piece of advice that you would tell someone who is just starting out on YouTube?
Join your boot camp. Yeah, I would say join the boot camp. Like, you know, have some of those, have accountability, go all in. Either go all in. It's not something you can really dabble in.
No.
And one way to help yourself go all in is to invest in a program, invest in coaching, you know, cut down that time for yourself. And so you don't have to make as many mistakes. But yeah, I would say go all in.
Yeah, love that. All right, Jacquelyn. So if the people watching and listening, they want to check you out, they want to check out your workouts, where can they find you?
Yeah, on YouTube, Action Jacquelyn, Instagram, Action Jacquelyn. You can go to actionjacquelyn.com, and my app is stretchyfitapp.com if you want to completely transform your body in 4 weeks.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. Yeah. I want to completely transform my body in 4 weeks. Well, I do all your challenges. They're all so good. I love them. So, all right. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that interview and you learned a lot from it. Now, if you have a YouTube channel or considering starting a YouTube channel that you're serious about growing and you want the best of the best when it comes to personalized feedback, advice, and up-to-the-minute YouTube strategy, then consider my Zero to Influence YouTube Bootcamp for women. I have been running this bootcamp since 2018, and we have hundreds upon hundreds of very successful students that have gone through the program. And I can go on and on about the YouTube Bootcamp, but I want you to hear it directly from some of the women themselves.
I feel so lucky that I got to do Erika's bootcamp.
Before I joined the bootcamp,
Before joining Erika's bootcamp,
my channel was all over the place. I didn't know what I was talking about.
I would hear people say that I need to find my why and my voice and my audience and understand my target audience, but I never felt like I really understood what that meant.
Erika helped me come up with YouTube video ideas. She helped me with consistency. She helps me to interpret my analytics.
I started with 12,000 subscribers and now I have over 50,000 and it is growing rapidly.
My channel has grown almost 100,000 subscribers.
I definitely wouldn't have gotten to this place in such a short amount of time without Erika's bootcamp.
What makes Erika special is that she has been talking to and analyzing YouTube channels for years, and that has given her this bank of knowledge to pull from.
I'm constantly asking her questions about YouTube. I'm asking her advice about my YouTube channel.
Taking the Zero to Influence YouTube Bootcamp was one of the best
decision I could have ever made for myself, for my channel, for my own personal growth as a human being. I could not be happier.
I love that it has reinvigorated me in such a beautiful way. So I am so happy that I've joined.
You're crazy not to hire her. Get on it. All right.